Hey there, hope you're doing well today. And today we're going to be taking a look at some of the ZMan TRD products. I got a whole mess of them laid out here. We're going to go over each one individually and how I like to rig them, current situations where I like to fish them, that sort of thing. Last time we talked about kind of the heads that I like to put them on. So it could be the ZMan football heads. That's the new Ned's head they make. It could be the TRD Ned locks. Got the Hayabusa Brush Easy, one of my favorites, so we'll talk about that. But basically, they have a huge lineup of TRD products. They're kind of for finesse fishing, getting down there, kind of when the bite's tough, and you catch a lot of fish doing this. So let's start with the tried and true. This is the ZMan Finesse TRD. It's a 2.75 inch bait, super subtle. If you guys remember back in 2019, I was fishing at the time, FLW tour on Lake Cherokee. I was catching spawn and smallmouth, and I was using this head and this bait. I was pitching into cracks, and basically I couldn't see the fish, but it would glide down there, sit in front of them, and they would pick it up and swim off. And it was just one of those special weeks where I was really just dialed in and catching them. But this bait, you can see when it hits the bottom, it kind of does that sort of deal where it hits, kind of that elastic will float it back up. That's a light head, so it'll sit right in front of them. The two ways I like to fish this is with that really light Hayabusa Brush Easy. This is a 1/10 ounce, which is the heaviest they make, and it's more of a gliding bait. I'm getting that down there quick, or I'm sorry, slowly. There'll be a lot of times this bait never makes it to the bottom. They'll swim up. It can be thrown in 10 foot of water, and they come up and grab it before it ever makes it down there. The other way I like to fish it is on one of those Ned locks heads. This one's a 1/5 ounce, so that's their heavy version. If I want this bait down in the bottom, digging around in rocks, it's a great option that way. It would also fit on that football Neds they came out with. This comes up to a 1/4 ounce. So if you're fishing that around a lot of rock where you want that thing just kind of crawling along, rolling over there, not getting stuck as much, it'd be a perfect option for that as well. That hook's a little bit bigger, kind of fits the bait nice as well though. The next one, this guy's finesse. He's pretty cool. Same thing, 2.75 inch. You can compare it to that Finesse TRD. And I fished this one on that Ned locks, and I believe this guy's gonna be really good with it as well this year. What you do is you get those tentacles in there. So it's basically the same width. It might be a little bit thicker here in the body than the actual Finesse TRD, but it just kind of gets that action in there. It's good for when the water's cold still. It gets a little bit of fluttering going there, get in front of their face, and really gets those fish to react to it. Its big brother is that the holistic. This guy's a 4-incher, so you can see the difference in size. It's actually a little bit thinner profile here at the top where you're rigging it from, but it's got that little bit more action. When it's sitting down there, you can see it's got a little more wobble to it. But same thing, it's really good bait if you need to upsize. Maybe the fish are eating a little bit bigger forage, just depends on the situation. But that cold water, I'm going with this guy. Warmer water, I'm gonna start going with this guy when they're eating a little bit more of the bass. Their metabolism speeds up and all that. The next one, let's take a look at, let's do the TRD Crawls. This is one of my favorites. I fished this on the Susquehanna River a decent bit when I'm out there. It's really subtle. It gets down there, it'll fall, and with the Elastec material, you can see it's super thin coming out to the claw itself, but then those suckers, they float right up there. So it's a super defensive position, but it's subtle. It's not like a bait where it's kicking around, pushing a lot of water. So this is also a good cold water bait, but I catch them during the summer too. I really think it's so natural looking that the smallmouth especially really like to pick it up, but you can fish this all over the country. I've caught spotted bass down at Lake Lanier on it. Really good bait. I'm excited to fish this on this Ned head. That football, it's gonna be good. It came out at iCast. I've got them in the late fall. I fished them a little bit, but I'm really excited to put some more work in with them. I really think they're gonna rock and roll across all those rocks really well, not get you hung up. But this bait, it's money. This one's in Drew's Crawl. It's really natural looking, it's great. We'll talk about colors on another episode though. Next one, this is the TRD Bugs. And what this is, it's a little bit bulkier profile. You can see it's a little bit thicker. It's got a little more appendages, got the two on the side. These two actually come connected together with that elastic, so I break them apart, that way you get a little more action. I like this when the water's warmer. I'm putting that out there just because you got a lot of leg movement, and when the water's cold, most of the bait down there is real slow and kind of not doing a whole lot. This has got some action to it. It draws them in. There's nothing on this that's actually grabbing water, kind of not like the ZMan baby goat that we'll talk about here next, but it's a nice little warm water bait. It's compact, same thing, it's 2.75 inches. You can see compared to that Finesse TRD. It's hard to see that way. Hang on, let me get this way. The legs are moving around, but you see it's the same length there. It just does a really good job of catching fish with it. Since we were talking about that, baby goats, this comes in, this is the baby goats, it's a 3-inch. I'll show you one more time, right there. You can see how it compares in length. But this comes in a goat, which is bigger, and then a billy goat is even bigger than that. And those ones I'm flipping, I'm throwing on the back of a buzz bait. But this guy, this is gonna be a special little bait here to set up on that football Neds. It's gonna rock and roll. This guy catches a lot of water. Those legs are kicking, and that's what I really like about it. So when they falls to the bottom, it's swimming, it's kicking like this, and that's warm water written all over it. Looks just like a crayfish, something trying to skirt and get away from a bait out there. Another way you can rig this, you can throw that on that. I haven't thrown it on the Brush Easy, just it's pretty light for that. If you were looking for a really subtle fall and one that thing kind of target a suspended fish, it would fall so painfully slow by them, just kicking along. Fish would probably pick it up really well, but a lot of times I'm throwing that on that Ned locks. Getting that down there on the bottom. I want that thing kicking up some dirt and just really moving a lot of water. But something I don't talk about a ton is you take this guy, that baby goat, and turn it sideways, and all of a sudden it went from being a crayfish this direct, like when it's sitting this direction, to a little bait fish. So you can hop this along, swim it, and you just rig that right down its side then. You can do this on the Ned locks. You can do it on that football heads. See, just like that. All of a sudden, it's going sideways. It's kicking this way, so it's swimming along. It looks just like a little bait fish. This color, it's called the Deal. It's a really good color. I like that a lot in that Finesse TRD too, because it looks like a little bit of a shad sort of deal, dark bottom. But we'll talk about colors in another episode. The next one we have, let's see, what haven't we talked about? We haven't talked about the TRD Hogs. This guy, it's a little subtle bait. I think it looks a lot like a stone cat. It's got those little like pectoral fins off the side. When you rig it with this Hayabusa Brush Easy, it looks like it's got those catfish whiskers. So if you don't know what a stone cat is, growing up, I lived in Eastern Pennsylvania. So I would flip rocks over, and they're usually about, I don't know, 2 inches to, if you found a big one, it was like a 4-inch one. And they had these little whiskers on them. If you picked them up and you grabbed them on the side pectoral fins, they'd sting you. So you had to be careful grabbing them. But this bait, fishing in creeks and areas that look like that, it's really good. You can fish it year round because it's got enough movement in it that it's a good summer bait, but it also is subtle enough that it's not real aggressive. It's not pushing a lot of water. That makes a really good cold water bait too. If I'm really trying to fish it slow in that cold water, I'll put it on a bigger head so it's on the bottom and it'll stay down there. If I'm looking for an area that during the summer, if I'm just trying to keep it moving, hopping it along, making it look natural, that's when I'll go with that Brush Easy by Hayabusa. Let's see. The last one that we have not talked about yet is the big TRD. This is a 4-inch versus the 2.75. You can see there, you got that same girth of the bait itself, but it's a little bit longer. This is good when you're fishing an area that either has maybe some bigger fish, bigger forage, and you want those to really attract their attention a little bit more, but you don't want a whole lot of appendages and moving around. The best hook I found for it is that Pro Shrooms. It's got a 2.0 hook in it, so it's a little bit bigger. It goes down the bait. It's got a good solid hook in there, and it's got that welded on metal guard. So when you slide it on there, that Elastec stays on there really well. It's not gonna just pull off on you when you're dragging along and popping it around there. So comparing this to that Finesse TRD, you can see this guy, when it hits the bottom, it's got that little like quick subtle action, but it kind of goes straight. This guy, because it's got so much more plastic, it bounces around a lot. So when it's down there, it's moving a little bit more. And then when you stop it, it'll eventually slow down and it'll stand straight up. But when you're dragging it, it's got more side to side action. It'll draw in bigger fish than you'd ever expect to catch on a little 4-inch bait. But these are just like the French fries of the world. And you put them in front of fish when you're finesse fishing like that, even if they're not hungry, a lot of times they eat it. It's just, like, even this guy's only 2.5 inches, that TRD Crawls. It's just so simple and easy for him to eat that's why I like to go with my TRD setup. I fish it a lot, especially when you need bites. If you're fun fishing or if it's in a tournament, you always need to get those fish in the boat, or if you're fishing off the bank, it's a good way to just work along and catch lots of them. If you have any questions about this, put them in the comments below. The next episode, we're going to talk about colors and how I pick which ones I want, some of my favorites. And from there, we'll see where we go. So thanks for watching. If you do me a huge favor, please like and subscribe and put your comments below. See ya.